Welcome to the March 10th, 2021 regular board meeting of the Chino Valley Fire District Board of Directors. The time is 6 p.m. This is President Sarah Censure, and we will now begin the meeting. Please be advised that this meeting will be recorded. Please silence your cell phones and devices to reduce background noise or disruption. In accordance with the California Governor's Executive Order N-92-20, guidance from the California Department of Public Health, and in an effort to combat the spread of COVID-19, the Chino Valley Fire District will hold all regular and special meetings of the Board of Directors remotely in a hybrid format until further notice. Only board members and essential staff will be present at the boardroom, and the public may attend remotely by using the link on the Fire District's website and on agenda. The public may join the meeting real-time and listen to webinar URL link for the meeting are listed on the agenda. Our agenda is posted on our website at cvifd.org. Please be advised that when you join the meeting real-time, your screen name will appear on the GoToWebinar screen. The board will accept public comment on all items on the agenda under public communications. The public had two options for participating in public comment. One option for participating in public comment was to submit comments to the clerk of the board by email at clerk@chofire.org prior to the beginning of the meeting. Comments received by email will be read real-time by the clerk of the board during the specified time. Emails are limited to 300 words. Please note that your name will be read into the record. The second option for participating in public comment real-time is to register prior to the meeting at the GoToWebinar URL listed on this agenda. If you have registered for public comment, the clerk of the board will call on you and unmute your microphone when it's your turn to speak. Attendees may also need to unmute their own devices to be heard. When your name is called, please begin the public comment by stating your name. Address is optional for the record. Comments must be limited to 5 minutes. For the record, viewing a board meeting, you may access Fire District website the following day of the meeting at www.cvifd.org and click on Video Archive. I will now open the meeting and take roll. Please answer when I call your name. Director Wynn Williams.
Here.
Director Harvey Liz.
Here.
Director John DeMonico.
Here.
Vice President Mike Krieger.
Here.
And myself, President. It is now time for the flag salute, and Director Krieger, would you please?
Sure.
Would you lead us?
Please join me in saluting our great flag. Ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. And Keith Roby, our Fire District Chaplain, is joining us this evening, and he will present the invocation.
Thank you. Please bow your heads with me. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this beautiful day and for your love and your grace. Your word says that with confidence we can draw near to the throne of grace, that we may receive mercy and find grace to help in time of need. With that promise, we hold in tender prayer those that are suffering at this time from illness, loss, and fear of the unknown. Help us to remember that as your children, you have not given us a spirit of fear, that you can hear all the prayers, you can see all the needs, and that you are the provider. Help us to remember that as your children, you are blessing us every day. I pray for all our elected officials entrusted with the calling of public service. Keep them pure in heart and give them wisdom that they may continue to enhance and grow our cities for the good of all those that have placed their trust and confidence in our leadership. I pray for your continued protection and blessing for our fire district, for our community, and for our families. May you keep us healthy and confident in your strength mercy and love for us. We pray this in Christ's precious name. Amen.
Thank you very much, Chaplain Robbie. Presentations and announcements, proclamation, National Donate Life Awareness Month. This evening, we have one proclamation on the agenda. A complete copy of the proclamation is available as an attachment to our agenda on the Fire District website. The proclamation is National Donate Life Awareness Month. On behalf of the Chino Valley Fire District Board of Directors, I would like to proclaim April 2021 as National Donate Life Awareness Month. Donate Life Ambassador Rob Ralston is joining us remotely. At this time, I would like to invite Rob to say a few words.
Hi, can you guys hear me? Am I doing this correctly?
Yes, we can hear you fine. Thank you, Rob.
Please allow me to thank the Chino Valley Fire District, the president, and all the board members, Ariana Cisneros, Maciel de Guevara, my amazing go-to person, the public relations officer, information officer, and finally, and most awesome, the chief, Tim Shackelford. Thank you for your unwavering support over the last 8 years. I look forward every year to the flag raising of the Donate Life flag for the month of April, which is National Organ Donation Awareness Month. At this time, I would like to just give you some very brief facts of the severity and the reason for this. Right now, there's 107,000 people nationwide waiting for a life-saving organ transplant. Right now, there are 22,000 people in California alone waiting for the phone to ring. Just for an example, 22,000 people, that would fill the Los Angeles Forum. A sold-out Lakers game, Clippers game, concert. That's how many people are waiting for the phone to ring like it did for me. So, I mean, the gift is rare, but the need is great. Out of every 200 people that become donors, only 2 or 3 possibly are actually viable donors. So we really need everybody to become a donor that is willing to. And by doing so, you can save up to 8 lives with one organ donor at the time of their passing. Someone from Tennessee saved my life 9 years ago, and I've been able to walk all 3 of my daughters down the aisle in marriage. And the need is that great and that deep, and so many other lives are touched by it. If you would like to become an organ donor, you can become one by going to www.donatelife.org. or at the Department of Motor Vehicles when you renew your driver's license or ID card, or at any other time that you end up in the DMV, you can become an organ donor. So thank you from the bottom of my heart for this opportunity to raise awareness to the need for organ donation. And God bless all of you. And thank you so much for the proclamation this evening.
Thank you very much, Rob. We appreciate you. Employee recognition. This evening, the Fire District is presenting firefighter paramedic Ryan Persinian with a, gosh, this is the hard one for me. I always mess it up. Meritorious Service Award. I would like to invite Deputy Chief Nathan Cook to present the award.
Thank you, and good evening, President Ramos, Evinger, and Board of Directors. Ryan, I know you're on the line, so it's my honor and privilege to present you with the Meritorious Service Award. I think what makes this award so special is that you were actually nominated for the award by your peers. There's no doubt in anyone's mind that you're deserving of the award, and you encapsulate what it means to be a public servant. Your efforts are the epitome of what it means to provide exceptional services in order to safeguard our community. It's very apparent by everyone that you seek excellence in everything you do with your innovative practices, training, and equipment. Thank you for endeavoring to learn and grow while seeking improvement and embracing change. And we have a medal that we will present to him in person this next shift. And it is a distinct honor and privilege to be able to present that to him. And so congratulations, Ryan.
Thank you, Chief. Thank you very much.
And Ryan, I have this wonderful certificate for you. And on behalf of the Board of Directors, we would like to commend firefighter paramedic Ryan Persamian. Upon receiving the Meritorious Service Award, firefighter paramedic Ryan Persamian distinguishes himself by consistently displaying the highest professionalism and leadership while serving the Chino Valley community. His continued research, training, and ceaseless efforts in educating the public and district personnel in high-performance CPR and Heart Safe, Bleed Safe program reflects greatly upon himself in the Chino Valley Fire District. We'll be delivering the certificate to Ryan in the next week, and I wish I could show everyone that wonderful award.
No, let me,
Okay, just so everyone can see as well, because just so they can see, it's awesome. If you'll, for the camera, just display this wonderful, I just think we need to show that. Thank you so much. Yeah. Uh-huh. Yes. And Ryan, you're on the line, and
It's really nice.
would you like to say a few words this evening?
Yes, I'll keep it very brief because we actually just got a call. I'm here at Station 1, so I will make this very quick. I'm humbled and I'm honored, and thank you so very much. I'll only accept the award on one behalf if I can accept it on behalf of the team, because our profession 100% is reliant upon each and every one of our members. So thank you so much, guys. I hate to split, but got to go help someone. Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much.
That's the shortest speech I've ever heard him say.
Yes, but always so humble. Always so humble. Public communications. This is the time and place for the general public to address the Board of Directors about subjects that do not appear elsewhere on the agenda. The public may address items on the agenda at the time addressed by the board. Due to board policy and Brown Act requirements, action may not be taken on any issue on the agenda. When you address the board, state your name and the address is optional prior to making your remarks. Please limit your comments to 5 minutes. Clerk of the board, do we have any requests to speak?
We have no request to speak.
Okay, thank you so much. Liaison report to the fire district. Clerk of the board, do we have any liaison reports?
Yes, we have several liaison reports this evening. First, Suzette Dang, San Bernardino County, 4th District.
Good evening, President Ramos-Evinger, Vice President Krieger, Board of Directors, Chief Shackelford, Deputy Chief, staff, and our Chino Valley residents. Suzette Dang with Supervisor Kurt Hagman's office. I have one announcement tonight. Supervisor Hagman is encouraging the members of the community who are interested in being appointed to the DA Community Commission to apply now. The applicants must be residents of the 4th District and submit the following: a resume, which must include name, address, and email, a letter of interest answering why you would like to serve or are qualified to serve, and 3 references, which is just contact information only. Please submit your application and email them to suzette.dang@bos.sbcounty.gov or call our district office at 909-465-5265 for any questions. Meeting for this commission takes place on a quarterly basis, and the term of the service is one term that consists of 18 months as a commissioner. The deadline to apply is ongoing, but applications received by March 26 will be given priority. So if you know someone who would be a great fit, please go ahead and encourage them to apply. Thank you very much and have a great evening. We miss you guys all.
Thank you, Suzette.
Thank you, Suzette. Mayor Pro Tem Mark Lucio from the City of Chino is joining us as usual. However, he doesn't have a report for us this evening. So next is Councilmember Art Bennett, City of Chino Health.
Good evening, board members. Sarah Ramos Evinger, the president, Mike Krieger, vice president, John DeMonico, Harvey Luth, Wynn Williams, and Chief Shackelford, and administrative staff. It's my pleasure to be able to give you a brief summary of what's going on in the city of Chino Hills. Of course, with many of your personnel working actively in the city, you know most of what's going on. And at any rate, we have a dubious one-year anniversary, of course, now, which is the start of the COVID-19 pandemic. We want to take a moment to consider the 37 Chino Hills residents who have lost their lives. In the county of San Bernardino, 3,176 people have died. And I'd like to thank the fire district for their significant efforts to respond to the pandemic, including answering calls for medical aid, starting with the SOS program to help our seniors and administering vaccinations. Secondly, the city operations update, COVID response, closures of Chino Hills Community Center and McCoy Equestrian and Recreation Center have been extended through April 4th. Street sweeping will not resume without further notice, at least through April 4th, and that's street sweeping violations for people parking on the streets. Vaccines, the supplies are improving and more people are eligible for the vaccine. We encourage everyone who is eligible to schedule a vaccine appointment. Visit San Bernardino County vaccine page at sbccovid19.com/vaccine. Sometime this month, vaccine appointments in San Bernardino County will be made using the state's MyTurn system at myturn.ca.gov. COVID-19 testing in Chino Hills. We have future COVID-19 testings. They're coming up on Wednesday, the 17th of March and the 31st, 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. at the McCoy Equestrian and Recreation Center barn. Blood drive will continue our Tuesday, every Tuesday, continuing through the end of March, the Government Center and the Peyton Drive parking lot. Donors are required to wear face mask coverings. Appointments are recommended. Livestream has begun testing all successfully complete blood donations for antibodies to SARS-CoV-2 and COVID virus that causes COVID-19, in addition to an additional benefit to donors at all Livestream locations. The housing element workshop date, we're having a fourth meeting coming up on Tuesday, March 16th at Chino. You can check at chinohills.org housing element update. And finally, activities. We have a water conservation design assign contest that entries are due by March 19th. You can go to chinohills.org/virtual recreation. And virtual bingo will be coming up on March 31st. You must register online. Active adults 50 plus at 10 a.m. and 18 plus at 6 p.m. And essentially that's it. But we had Deputy Chief Williams last night report, and good news is that there wasn't a whole lot to report for the fire district, and we're glad to hear that. We know that you guys are always working overtime trying to keep the medical needs and safety needs of our citizens as a top priority, and we thank you immensely for everything that you do for our district. So God bless you all, and may you have a wonderful rest of your week and rest of your meeting. Thank you very much.
Thank
Am I
you.
allowed to make a statement?
Yes, Wynn? Excuse me, Sarah, you give him that part.
Yes, thank you. Yes.
I'm sorry.
I don't have a question. All I want to say, Mr. Bennett, is I have what you stated in front of me, and it doesn't hurt it a bit. It enhances it, and I appreciate you giving me a copy of your report. Thank you very much.
You're extremely welcome. We're glad to furnish that report to the board, and we hate to be redundant and verbally give it as well, but for those that don't have a copy, we just want people that are within the fire district boundaries and live in the city of Chino Hills to know what's going on. So thank you for your thank you.
Thank you. Also with us this evening is Clerk of the Board, Donald Bridge from Chino Valley Unified School District.
Okay, Is my microphone on? I believe it is. Good evening, President Ramos Evinger, Vice President Krieger, and directors and Chief Shackelford. I'm pleased to report for the school board tonight. As most of you know, the school board held a special meeting on February 23rd and voted to give Superintendent Dr. Enfield the go-ahead to reopen our elementary grades, returning them to campus in the hybrid blended learning mode. Grades K through 2 began last Thursday, and grades 3 through 6 started on Monday of this week. Board President Joe Schaefer and I had the opportunity to observe a few classes and meet with principals at Rolling Ridge Elementary in Chino Hills, Cortez Elementary in Chino, and Levi Dickey Elementary in South Ontario. Every class was set up with clear dividers on every desk. Students and teachers were wearing face masks, and they were socially distanced, with half the class attending for 2 days during the week and the other half on 2 separate days, and one day being a virtual learning day for the entire class. Also had the chance to observe playground assignments for recess, as those were also divided up into certain designated areas out either on the field or on the blacktop, so students could not commingle with other classes. I can report that students and teachers are very happy to be back at school, even with all the changes that have occurred since leaving a year ago. I would publicly like to thank our teachers, classified staff, administration, and the parents for the work they've done in getting our schools reopened in a safe manner. During that special meeting, the school board also gave approval for the superintendent to reopen the high schools once and junior highs once the county was in the red tier for 2 consecutive Tuesday reports. With the county entering the red zone yesterday, and if the county remains in the red tier next Tuesday, our high schools will begin returning next Wednesday, the 17th. High school sports have already been practicing, and some games are scheduled to start this week or next. Also, our district was able through the county to obtain about 800 doses of vaccine for our teachers, and I was able to observe a clinic set up at Chino High about a week and a half ago. So our teachers have had the availability to get both doses of the vaccine. If they haven't been able to get it elsewhere, we realize that many teachers were able to get appointments either through San Bernardino County or those that live in the nearby counties. And then lastly, just one other quick comment. You probably noticed in the paper, in the Chino Valley Champion, the current issue regarding the article regarding the resolution passed by the school board giving authorization to Dr. Enfield to begin the process towards moving the school board elections to a trustee area as opposed to at-large elections. The school board recently received a letter from an attorney indicating the district was in violation of the California Voting Rights Act. I believe this is the same law firm that contacted the city of Chino years ago when the city went to its current district elections. So we will be keeping the public apprised of the progress as the steps leading towards that November 22 election take place. And with that, thank you, and that concludes my report.
Thank you very much.
And that concludes our liaison reports.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay. Next, we'll move to our consent calendar. Clerk of the board, did we receive any public comments on the consent calendar?
We have no public comments.
Thank you. If any board member wishes to pull an item from the consent calendar for the discussion, please state your name and the item number you wish to pull. Nope. Okay. At this time, I would like to request a motion.
So move for items 1 through 6. John DeMonico, second.
Okay. And now I'll do a roll call vote. We had Vice President Krieger, who did a motion, and second by Director John DeMonico. Director Wynn Williams?
Yes, I vote yes.
Okay. Director Harvey Luce?
Yes.
Director John DeMonico?
Yes.
Vice President Mike Krieger?
Yes.
And myself, yes. Okay. Old business, none. New business, fire district policy and procedures for board of directors. Purpose is for the board of directors to review the to review proposed changes to the fire district policy and procedures for board of directors as presented in red line format, and review, approve, and adopt resolution number 2021-09, rescinding resolution number 2019-21, and adopting the proposed policy and procedures for the board of directors as reviewed with modifications. Clerk of the board, Sandra Henney, please present your report.
Thank you. President Ramos Evinger, members of the board, the purpose of this report is to provide an opportunity for the board of directors to review the attached policy and procedures for the board of directors with red line recommended changes. At a special board meeting held on November 18th, 2020, the board of directors discussed the process for reviewing the board policy and procedures, and President Ramos Evinger and Director Harvey Luce were to serve as an ad hoc committee to compile board input, meet with legal counsel to further review the current board policies and procedures, and present the recommendations back to the full board for review and approval consideration. All board members had the opportunity to review the policy and procedures and submit their comments through the clerk of the board. Comments and submissions are incorporated in the attached red line document. The fire district holds several accreditations that require the board to update their policies within a year of submitting for these reaccreditations. In addition, review of the document provides an opportunity for the board to make recommendations for modifications and also for district legal counsel to review and ensure that all statutory references are current. The recommendation is that the board of directors review, approve, and adopt resolution 2021-01, rescinding resolution number 2019-21, and adopting policy and procedures for board of directors as presented with any additional revisions.
Okay, thank you so much. Clerk of the board, do we receive any requests to speak?
We have no request to speak on this item.
Okay, at this is the time for the board to comment. Please ask your questions or make your remarks when I call your name. Director Wynn Williams?
Thank you very much, President Evinger. I do have some questions and comments on the policy. The question I have is, going over it, it states in there that the fire chief is to meet with board members once a month, each member, and talk about things going on in the fire district and whatnot. And there's some other things that are mentioned in the board policy. And the question I have is, where does it say in the board policy that a majority of the board members can take a vote against one of the board members, another board member that they happen to hate and don't want to have anything to do with, and take away these things that are written in there as far as requirements of the fire chief and the things where it talks about being respectful to each other and that type of stuff. And I just want to know where it's written that this stuff can be turned around at the whim of the board because of ill feelings toward one of the fire board members. And it's mostly directed to our council, but if anybody wants to answer, I'd be glad. But I just want to know where it says and on what right the board has to do that.
So, as with any policy, these policies are adopted by the board, and a majority of the board can change the policies. It probably wouldn't be a bad idea to add a sentence or two that says that the board can modify these policies or take action that is contrary to the policy as circumstances require, such as when a board member is censured and consequences need to be put in place that are different than are in the policies. So if the board would like, I could certainly come up with that type of language that would give you that flexibility.
what you're saying is it's not in there now. There is no policy in there, and there's nothing in the policy that says that at the whim of the fire board. Don't talk in circles, please. I know you're an attorney, you're good at doing that, but I don't want you to do that. If it doesn't say it in there, say it doesn't say it this time, please.
It says nothing about the whim of the board, and I would never draft something like that. If the board would like to provide flexibility, I could certainly provide that.
But it does not say anything about the board changing policy on a whim or anything else against another board member.
No.
As was done to me, because that's what they did. I haven't spoken with the chief, haven't had a meeting with the chief since the first month. That was one meeting. That's been over 2 years ago. And I was going over that policy, and I noticed that, and I thought, on what basis did the board have the right, the other board members have a right to say, he can't meet with me?
Well, the basis is that it's the board's policy. So while it may not be written there in the policy that they can change it, it's inherent in their authority as the body that adopted it to change the policy.
On a whim. You can be honest. On a whim.
Can I interject here for a second? Policy number 2040, board actions and decisions, 2040.0. Actions by the board of directors include but are not limited to the following: adopting or rejection any item on the agenda, adoption, rejection of regulations or policies is listed on there. And then it talks about how you have to have the majority of the board do it. It's covered right there.
Okay.
So it is in our policy under section 2040 if you'd like to read that.
Okay, so to do what happened with me, where in the policy it states that the fire chief will meet with each board member once a month. And for that to be changed, would the fire board need to, number one, go to the policy and say, we are now changing the policy, and then go ahead and do what they're going to do to the fire board member as they've done to me? Or can they just say, we're going to do it? That's what I'm trying to get at.
The censure is actually what.
And I'm asking the attorney if that's fine.
My answer is you don't need to amend the policy to take one-off actions such as censure. That's my answer.
Then does the censure need to state exactly what a censure is and what it can entail?
No, it doesn't, but this board's censure did state what it involved. But I think that's getting a little bit off topic because here we're talking about the policies, not your censure board, Member Williams.
Well, it talks about censure though in the policy. And what I'm asking is to be specific. And the things that have happened with me for the past 2 years. I know you've been given a letter that states that you have your censure included my freedom of speech, and I wonder if we shouldn't put things in the policy that include that. In other words, yes, we're going to stop your freedom of speech. We're not going to pay attention to federal law, Article 1 of the Constitution. We don't care about your freedom of speech. We're going to shut you up. And that's what I'm asking is, shouldn't we put that in there if that's what we're going to do?
President Evinger and board members, until recently, the board has never had to deal with censure. Certainly we have more recently, and so if the board would like me to draft some policies dealing with censure and be specific about it, I certainly can.
I, for one, would like to say yes. I think a censure should say exactly what a censure can do. And what a censure would entail. Myself, I mean, if I'm going down the freeway and I'm by myself and I go into the carpool lane, it says I'm gonna get fined $350 or something like that, or $500 for being in there by myself. And the same thing applies here. I had no idea what a censure entailed when it was happening to me, but it has wiped me out as far as my participation in the fire board and the fire department, like the other board members have, the privileges and the input that the other board members have had.
So I'd like to explore that, but during the time that's allocated for that under the separate section, I'd like to explore that, what you just said, but I don't think right now is the time to discuss that. We have a separate item that we're going to discuss later on this evening.
Well,
So I think I have an answer to that, or at least I'd like to discuss that with you, but I don't think right now is the time to answer that particular question.
Okay.
and I also want to remind all board members that we provided opportunities for input prior to this coming to our board. We sent emails, we asked for input, the input was received, the ad hoc committee got together on 2 occasions, we reviewed the input, and Harvey, if you want to include on this, so I'm a little confused as to why these items are being brought up now when we've had the opportunity as a board to provide input to these policies prior to this meeting.
So what you're saying is you really don't want me to say anything at this point in time, and I don't have a right to say anything at this point in time, even though you asked me if there was anything I wanted.
Is that what I said?
To be brought
Should I
up.
repeat what I said?
You
Because
pretty much said that.
I think what you're taking words and you're trying to twist them. Everyone has had opportunity. What we should be reviewing right now, and if you want to, let's document those items that you want it placed on the board policies. And what we do is we track items that board members want to do, and we can bring it back to the ad hoc committee. So if you'd like to write specifically, we can put this on there, we can put that on there about adding censures on there. But we did give all board members opportunities to provide input prior to this coming to the meeting this evening.
Okay, well, that was before the end of the year and before I found out that I wasn't going to be included, continuing not to be included. Okay, so, yeah, I would like to have something done where we can bring this up.
Okay, so here's what I'd like to do. I'd like to make a motion that we accept these changes as written.
Can we have,
Oh, I'm sorry,
I need
I'm
to
sorry.
allow others to-
No, I'm okay if you want to, my preference is to adopt what we have written here, because I don't see any issues with what's written here. And then if you want to submit additional changes to the ad hoc committee, keep the ad hoc committee going, and you can submit those in, and they can clear that through the clerk's office and legal to see if everything lines up, and we can bring that back at a future meeting to discuss any of those changes.
So we can do that. The other thing that I want to bring up is I don't see it stated in there enough that the board policy does not usurp a person's rights as a citizen and whatnot. I didn't see that in there myself. You may find that in there probably, but you know, the federal laws and the state laws come after or come first, and this policy is down the line, and it needs to be emphasized that a person's rights are number one when these things are happening.
Okay,
Okay,
I don't know how to address that outside of, I don't believe that at any given time your First Amendment rights been violated in any sort of way.
Okay, well, I'm not gonna get into that.
So we can discuss that during item number.
We won't debate that tonight, but
Item number
I
9.
just feel that we need to put in there
I don't know how to,
emphatically
how
that
to,
federal and state law.
I wouldn't know how to do that, but
it's not,
I'm
as
sure.
elected officials, we are held to higher standards than that of,
President, if I may,
yes.
point of order, we've gone.
Yeah, we'll go, and then.
We're going around and
Okay.
around.
So, Director Hart, you leave.
Yeah, I would comment that we spent several meetings, as was mentioned, going over the input that we did receive, notes that the clerk kept throughout the year, which is typical. She keeps track of these things. And then there's a review, and those revisions are made. We included, we got input from legal, got the review. The changes are very minor from the previous year. We had quite a few more changes. We included the mission, vision, and value statement. It seemed appropriate. It's everywhere in this district, but it's not in our policy, so we thought that was appropriate to add that in. There's stuff in 1020 related to social media use, and that's in AB 922 or something. AB, I believe that's in, yes. And then a few other minor changes. There was a request to look at education opportunities online, and so we incorporated that. So that would conclude my comments. I would support the changes that have been recommended. Thank you.
Okay, Director John DeMaio.
Yeah, I'm good with the way this is written. When, our policies are based a lot on state law, Robert's Rules of Orders, a lot of these things that are already out there. These are not things we invented. I've been on the board a number of years. We've changed them time after time. And there's been a few times where we wanted to change them, and we were told, you can't do that. That's, that conflicts with state law or whatever. Now, Jeff, question for you. With policies, do all governing bodies have board policy manuals?
Nope.
I didn't think so. So, but they can do censures and those types of things. And I believe with local governance, that our board is allowed to do anything up to a censure. We can't do impeachments, we can't do
all legislative bodies have the inherent authority to censure their board members, whether they have a policy about it or not.
That's been my understanding for a long time. And is that state law or is that?
It's just inherent in.
Inherent in local governance, okay. But anyhow, that's my opinion. And to put in here what a censure is, we might as well put an addendum in there saying, and refer to the Webster Dictionary or Wikipedia. I mean, we can take this thing to where it's going to be a monstrous book detailing everything in there. When we first started talking about censures, I went on a computer and I looked up Wikipedia to see what it is and what it entails, and I learned what one was. So with that, I'm in favor of moving this forward.
Okay, Vice President Mike Krieger.
I just have one item on item number 1100.6. It's page 105 of our packet. And this goes to the webinar items that John, I think you brought up in the past. That there's a lot of training that happens nowadays via webinar, and I love this. However, you guys specifically listed the only organizations that would apply to this. I'm wondering if there could be an added line that just says, or other webinar that's pre-approved by the board of directors.
I see a whole list of things.
Yeah, I see a list, but it's only those, and I think that there might be other training that comes up outside of these 5 organizations. CSBA, FDAC, FSS and Krieger, whatever it might be. There might be something in the future outside of this list that would be great training or that would apply to us. So I agree with this list. I think it's great, but I think that maybe we need to add something that says or something else that that's pre-approved by the board.
Pre-approved, it could always come back for approval.
Well, you know, and that brings up a good point. Maybe I'm just getting ahead of myself. Maybe in our, you know, we do have board travel and meeting, we do have a section for that. So maybe that would negate needing to add that. I'm just,
If I may, I believe that's covered in policy. There is somewhere, I'm looking for it, but I believe we have the opportunity for board members to bring those kinds of requests to the board. We were trying to be a little more expeditious with it and identify.
yes, okay. As long as there's another way, or if there's a really good training that we all identify in the future. So other than that, I'm good with it, sir.
Okay.
And I'm gonna follow up with one question on that, and I don't know if I've seen it or not. Is there a limit to how many webinars per month?
There is two.
Yeah, two.
It's only two.
Okay, I know that's what I suggested, but I didn't see it.
Yeah.
Missed it somewhere. It's probably staring me right in the face.
Yeah.
Page 105, yeah, on page 105.
Yeah, I think that's written, it's written very well. I agree with it.
And I myself, having gone over this extensively, numerous, quite a few times myself, I'm fine with it is as well. So at this time, I'd like to request a motion. Please state your name before you motion.
Mike Krieger, I move to approve the changes as written currently.
Okay, moved by Mike Krieger
Director Lewis, second.
and second by Director Luce. I will now call for a roll call voice vote. Director Wynn Williams,
No.
Director Harvey Luce,
Yes.
Director John DeMonico,
Yes.
Vice President Mike Krieger.
Yes.
And myself, yes. Motion passes 4-1. Next, item number 8, legislative support for special districts, provide essential services, Act of 2021. Purpose is for the Board of Directors to review and discuss taking action to provide support for special districts, provides Essential Services Act number 2021, S.91, HR 535 to allow CSEA to list the fire district in letters of support of this legislation. Clerk of the Board, Sandra Heaney, please present your report.
Thank you, President Ramos, Evinger, members of the board. The National Special Districts Association, NSDC, is seeking support from special districts for the Special Districts Provide Essential Services Act. California Special Districts, CSDA, in support of NSDC, is reaching out to California Special Districts for support of this legislation. U.S. Representative John Garamendi and Senator Kristen Sinema have led efforts to secure funding for special districts through the reintroduction of the Special Districts Provide Essential Services Act. This legislation will directly allocate critically needed financial relief to special districts that have experienced unforeseen expenditures, decreases in revenue, or both, as a result of the COVID-19 public health and economic crisis. The Board of Directors' policy and procedures state that correspondence expressing a position on legislative, political, or policy issues shall require board action. The recommendation on this item is that the Board of Directors review and discuss taking action to provide support for Special Districts Provide Essential Services Act of 2021 and allow CSDA to list the fire district in letters of support of this legislation.
Okay, thank you very much. Clerk of the Board, did we receive any requests to speak on this item?
We have no request to speak on this item.
Okay, this is the time for board to comment. Please ask your questions or make your remarks when I call your name. Director Wynn Williams?
Thank you, President Evinger. Can you renew me on what this is about? Is this for money for the district?
So in our report here, the National Special Districts Association is seeking support from special districts to provide essential services. And in order for us to they want to use the fire district's name. And what we're doing here is we are voting whether or not, as a board, we want to allow them to use us. And it does provide support to special districts.
Can I jump in here real quick?
Yes. Uh-huh.
Basically, special districts have not gotten any funding out of the COVID relief bills. And so what we're doing is we're asking they're asking for us to do a letter of support for HR 535 that's going to go through the state legislature that will mandate that the states give us some sort of financial relief for COVID-related items, because otherwise we're not getting anything. Did I say that right?
Yeah, but we're not sending, we're actually, this is to allow them to place us as listed as a listed special district.
Okay, so it's for money from the state, not from the federal.
Trying to.
Fine. This is just a try.
Okay, that answers the question, I think. Thank you very much.
Director Harvey Luke,
No questions?
Director John DeMonico,
No questions.
okay, Vice President Krieger,
No.
okay, and I don't have any questions as well. So at this time, I would like to request a motion. Please state your name before your motion.
John DeMonico, motion to approve.
I'll second that.
Okay, so I have a motion by Director DeMonico, second by Director Williams. I will now call for a roll call voice vote. Director Williams,
Yes?
Director Luke,
Yes.
Director DeMonico,
Yes.
Vice President Krieger,
Yes.
and myself, yes. Okay. So we have item number 9, consideration to modify actions imposed on Director Wynn Williams. Purpose is for the Board of Directors to discuss and consider modifications to previous action taken regarding restrictions on board member Williams. And Director Williams, you asked for this item to be placed on the agenda. Can you please present your report?
Well, I don't have any formal report. All I would like to say is it's been over 2 years, and I don't think we've had any problems. I know at one point, President Evinger, you had stated that 30 days would be good enough to probably turn it around, and it's been well over that. It's been more like a year, and probably over the year even. And so I have to say that I'm sorry that I've had to ask for this. I would have thought that it would have been automatic, or somebody would have asked for it in view of the way things were going, but that didn't happen. I mean, I guess I would have gone on, like I say, my whole 4 years here and never been reinstated. And it's my understanding that I was censured for the purpose of, because I had stated some things against the fire chief or something like that. I'm not even sure about that. My feeling is, as a board member, I can state my opinion, and I shouldn't be censured for stating my opinion. But apparently that's not the case. And I know at one point it was stated, because I had asked our attorney if he celebrated Christmas, and you, President Evinger, made quite an ordeal out of that. That I can't believe you asked him if he celebrated Christmas. And by the same token, on my second meeting on the board, you asked for my resignation, asked me if I would resign. And that's a lot worse than asking a guy if he celebrates Christmas. And yet, nobody made any issue out of that, but, it all depends. I think, I was targeted. You made me feel like I was targeted. I still feel like I'm targeted in the way things have gone for me, but by the same token, I feel that we need to bring ourselves back together. We should be a cohesive board, and that I should be brought back into the fold with no restrictions and no things about, oh, well, we can do this, but we can't do that, or I can go to the fire station now, but I can't talk to anybody, or something like that. That's crazy. I feel that it's time to put this behind us and just say, okay, you're now a member of the board fully. And let's move on. Let's not keep harboring bad feelings and making things difficult. That's really all I have to say.
Okay, thank you very much. Director Liu, would you like to begin on this?
Do it. Public.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Thank you so much. Yes, thank you for keeping me on. Clerk of the board, did we receive any requests to speak?
We have no request to speak on this item.
Okay, all right. So this is the time for the board to comment. Please ask your questions or make your remarks when I call your name. And Director Williams, you don't have any further comments at this time?
I don't believe I do, no.
Okay, thank you so much. Director Lake.
Okay. Would point out that in spite of comments that have been made, I did ask to consider making changes to Director Williams, if you will, as he states it, being brought back into the fold. And at that meeting, asked for Director Williams' comments, and his comment was he had no comment because he was damned if he did and damned if he didn't. And so it really didn't go anywhere, but I did make that attempt. The comment that the board is acting on a whim, that we're trying to silence you, and yet you have every opportunity here at every meeting to speak just like any other member. That we're doing it because we happen to hate you. You have no idea how I feel about you. You have no idea if I like you, hate you, and yet you say these things. You comment about the lack of respect that apparently you feel you receive. But it always seems to be a one-way situation. It's never a two-way thing. It's always a one-way. Respect is a two-way thing, and respect is something that is earned. So I came here, I'm just really struggling with this. Last year I felt there was an opportunity to reconsider those things, and it didn't happen. And I struggle because you continue to make these baseless allegations, these nefarious insinuations, and it just appears to be an attempt to polarize the board. You constantly say that you have nothing to be held accountable for. You did nothing wrong. The censures are results of lies, they're others' ignorance, incompetence of staff, or malicious intent of others. And yet I come up with reasons why I think we do need to consider this. I do recognize that Director Williams' recent behavior has improved. I wouldn't say necessarily always at every meeting. I wouldn't suggest that all his comments, including tonight, are appropriate, but I do believe his behavior has improved. When I hear comments that I've heard tonight, it makes me concerned if you truly are contrite, but time will tell. I do think it is time, and we need to move on, that we need to find ways to work together in the best interest of the district. And so I am open to having that discussion, but I do want to hear more comments before we get down to what that may or may not look like. So, thank you.
Okay. Director DeMonico.
Yeah, I've got some questions, and, Mr. Williams, what are you looking for tonight?
I'd like to be fully reinstated as a regular board member with all the same things that the other board members, such as yourself, enjoy. I know you guys don't like to hear me make comments. You think that I'm trying to be negative, which I am not. I am negative on the way things have gone, but let's not dwell on that. What I have stated, I would expect from the board, and I don't want to get into it, is that, oh, well, we'll make you a regular member, but we've already issued our liaisons and everything, so we're just going to leave it as is for the rest of the year.
Well, and I got a couple of other questions. During this period, have you attended any local government meetings or any seminars where you were not compensated during this time? If so, when and who?
I have not.
Okay, so is the purpose of this tonight so you can be compensated for meetings?
It's so I can be a regular board member, I can meet with the chief, I can have input into the fire department, the same as the other board members, and talk to members of the fire department, and not have to have somebody make some comment, well, you're not supposed to talk to me, or you're not supposed to talk to the members of the fire department, and that type of thing.
I guess I'll ask this question a little bit different. Do you plan on attending only meetings and training where you are compensated?
Absolutely not. I tend to go to other meetings.
Okay, I want to move on to a couple other things, because you attacked every member on this board at one time or another. And specifically, you attacked me and even committed battery on me. Do you still feel that way, still harbor those same feelings when you called me a felon as well as other things?
No, I don't.
How about Director Krieger, when you reported him to the DA, alleging misconduct on his part? Do you still believe that, and have you withdrawn that complaint?
I haven't pursued it. I have not withdrawn it, but I have not pursued it, and I'm sure that it's been dropped.
Okay, and I just want to make a comment, because you talked earlier about you didn't know what a censure was. You've been censured 4 times in less than 2 years. Actually, it's about an 18-month period. Censured 4 times, and over various things. I've got them all here, so in case anybody needs to see what they were for, I think they were. I think you earned them as well.
Yeah, would you go ahead and state them, or do you want to state them?
No, we've got them right here with this section. They're public record. We also hired an independent investigator to investigate you. The district initiated security for board meetings because of you. And
I'm sorry, please state your last statement again. I didn't quite catch it.
I said the district initiated security for board meetings. Matter of fact, on the first day of security, you tried to bring a knife into the boardroom.
Tried to bring what?
And then what?
I tried to bring what? Please state that again.
You brought a knife into the boardroom.
A knife?
Yep, that's documented. And the last thing, and I really was appalled at this, was when you walked out of our board meeting on June 12th, 2019 at 5:59 p.m. because you wanted to go get a free dinner somewhere. That was appalling. And those are the types of things that really bother me, and why I was in favor of the censures and still believe that the censures were appropriate and adequate, and I support every action this board took, every one of them. I support it 100%. But I'd also like to hear from the fire chief on what his thoughts are, especially if we're going to open up administration, so if that's even going to be considered.
Am I allowed to respond to your statement, or should I not say anything?
Yeah, we'll bring it back. We'll bring
Okay,
it back.
and the only thing I'd like to say, real quick if I could, is that free meal that he keeps bringing up, that was a meeting of a stock that I have at a bank. It wasn't just for the free meal, it was for the information of it was a stock market, meeting, okay?
It's not so much the meeting
Okay.
or the free dinner, it's the fact that you just got up and walked out of our meeting.
I understand.
That's very inappropriate and very.
I didn't mean it
I'd like to hear
to
from
be
you.
that way.
Okay, well, I need to let, Vice President Krieger speak his comment.
Are we going to the chief answer John's questions first, or
Are
not?
you okay with that?
Yes.
Director DeMonica, I do want to be clear with the board here tonight that this is a board decision, and this is not my decision, but I do have some concerns if Director Williams is given direct access to our staff based on previous behavior and interaction with them. I have some significant concerns that we'll have either complaints or staff feel that they've been mistreated or his actions may be inappropriate and may lead to some potential liability. If the board does decide so tonight, I would meet with Director Williams at your direction. I would request that we would have another board member there. Just would like to remind the board that Director Williams acknowledged that he has retaliated against me and tried to remove me from my position. So based on that, I am not comfortable meeting with him alone. Did I answer your question, Director DeMonica?
You did. Thank
All right, thank you.
All right, so, like the rest of the board tonight, I feel conflicted on this. I agree with John that, all the censures were absolutely appropriate, stand behind it 100%. At the same time, you know, we keep going this circle over right and wrong. And right now, right and wrong doesn't matter. We need to move forward with a fresh start, is my feeling. And that fresh start might come in different pieces over time, but it can be a fresh start. I feel that we need to do that. Chaplain Robbie tonight talked about grace in his invocation, and you know, I'm trying to take some of that in myself here, and it's hard, but I'm trying.
Say that again.
I'm trying to show some grace, and it's hard for me, but I'm trying to do that. I think that that's what is called upon and necessary to a certain extent. Regarding, you know, regarding the delay in this coming back to the board, you know, you said in the November meeting that you wanted it to come back. You were provided the form to fill out and explained the form to fill out. You didn't turn it in. You complained at the December meeting that you wanted it to be on the agenda. You were told once again, and provided the form in January. Once again, in December, Harvey was president at the time. He even offered to help you with it, to fill it out, and I don't believe you ever contacted him to do that. January, once again, you said, we're not getting this on the agenda. Well, you know, once again, you had to be reminded that there was the form to fill out. There's a policy involved, and once again, you were provided the form. From my count, you were provided that form 5 different times. You finally got it done in February, and you got it done, I believe it was turned in 2 days prior to our public meeting, which our agenda had already been published at that time. So due to the Brown Act that I know you're very familiar with, we couldn't add it on, but when you showed up last month at that meeting, before the meeting started, you sat down, I turned to you and I said, Wynn, I want to let you know we received the letter, and it's going to be at the next month's meeting, right?
You did.
And you were appreciative that I let you know that. So here we are at the meeting having this discussion. You talk about how you want to have access to talk to members of the fire department. I don't know what that means. I said hello to Dave. I said hello to Nathan. I waved hi to Joe. Is that what you're talking about? Because I saw you do that tonight too. But I'm not calling these guys because that's not my job. My job isn't to call staff and to ask staff questions. He's the guy that answers to us. So I talk to him, and you have that availability to send him an email anytime. Nobody's taking that away from you. You have that availability to send him an email, say, Chief, I have a question about this. Right? I mean, it's there. So when you talk.
No, I don't. I do not. You understand that? If you look at my emails from the fire chief, he says, I cannot talk to you. So you're saying things that are not correct. Guys, ask him.
Well,
Ask him.
He can send you an email.
Let me provide some clarity to that.
Yeah.
So what Director Williams is referencing, when he's left me voicemails, I reply in an email to him, explain based on the restrictions in the censure, it's very difficult to have a phone call that's recorded and have a witness present. Please reply to this email with what your needs are.
There you go. I can't talk to it.
Right, but the email.
You're saying things that are not correct.
Okay,
Mike,
but
why don't you admit it? And you don't want to say, oh, you're right.
okay.
I can't talk to the fire chief
But
the way you can talk to the fire chief.
communicate with the chief. You can communicate with him. It's
Not the way you can.
But
Not the way you can.
But we're splitting hairs here.
No, we're
Okay.
not splitting hairs. We're being absolutely factual.
That's correct, because that was part of the censure. So you're absolutely correct, and that was due to the censure. So,
Okay, admit it. I
just did.
get upset when people start screwing with me like that. You said, I can talk to the chief. I can't talk to
you
the
can
chief.
communicate with the chief via email.
No, that's different.
But Vice President, can I interject? I know this is your time. Can I?
Yeah, go ahead.
I believe in the censures, as I understood it, that the opportunity for Director Williams to talk to the chief is allowed as long as there's a witness or a recording,
Correct.
I recall.
That's my record.
So the opportunity that Director Williams is saying he does have, it just has some requirements.
Correct.
Okay,
Okay,
so
so
let me ask something, please. Why didn't he meet with me ever, except the first meeting, before all of this went down? He met with me one time, and he had two chiefs there, and yet he never attempted to meet with me with a chief there or anybody else.
Were these actions taken after the censure and not during the censure? Because we probably need to look back into our minutes for when those things occurred.
yeah, the first censure was February of 2019.
But I'm not sure they were done during the censures. I think that was after the censure.
It might
The
be.
first censure. So that should be reflected in the minutes, I think.
But let's,
Unless it was.
But
hold
the
on.
fact is, he can't meet with me without having somebody there, but he never wanted to meet with me at all.
okay, but we're talking about the past. We're talking about moving forward with a fresh start,
Okay.
right? So-
I'd like to. I don't think
so-
it can happen.
You know,
Go ahead, please. I'm sorry.
you're not making it easy here with the little comments, okay? But I want to try to move forward.
Thank you.
I want to give you the opportunity to show us over time that things can be productive.
What have I done for the last year?
Well, I'm not going to talk about June of 2020, which was the last time that we had to do it. So it hasn't been a year by my mark. It's been, this would be month 8 from the mark, okay? So I would agree that you've shown much better behavior. Still not optimum. I still feel that you've made comments that are not appropriate and should not be said. There's policy and procedure that we have to follow. There's Brown Act rules that we have to follow. And there's employment law that we have to follow. And there's times that I don't feel that you are either understanding or follow that when you talk about the staff appropriately. So with that being said, I would like to move forward. with a fresh start and show some grace. Once again, I'm confused by the access to staff. I don't understand what that means. And access to fire stations and whatever. I personally have not been to headquarters since whenever we had a meeting last there. I don't know when that was.
At least a year.
Yeah, I mean, that's the last time I was there. I don't show up to any fire stations unannounced for any reason. I was here yesterday to give blood, but that was it. But I wasn't walking around talking to everybody.
But you don't want to hear my views on this.
Well, the views is our jobs are policy direction and financial oversight. Our job is not to run the fire department. That's his job. We hire him to do that.
I'm not trying to run the fire department.
So there's things that we just don't need to get involved in.
If I go to a fire station and I talk to the men, I have a right to do that.
Why?
As a board member.
Why?
Can I?
You're not, see, you're trying to stop it. You're trying to say, well, you really don't want to do that, or you shouldn't do that.
It's not a matter of.
Right. I, as a citizen, can go to the fire station.
Okay, so.
And talk to the firemen.
So here's what.
They're paying the bill.
Here's what, I'm gonna let you go, and then I'll give you my recommendation, and then I'll let you talk.
Well, let's look around on recommendations.
Okay, good enough. Then.
I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No, that's good. I'll let you
Okay.
go.
So, Director Williams, I came here with a very, very open mind, and regardless of your behavior, and tonight how you get agitated and you immediately go to the immediate red, incorrect way, I feel that we need to consider this. It's been on my heart to do that, but I feel that you have this unrealistic means of what us board members, what we get as being an elected official to the board. I just have a question for the other board members here. How often do you call the chief, Director Delonico? Personally call him.
I can't remember the last time I called you.
Okay, and, well, when you were president, of course.
When I was president, but even then, boy, maybe a few times a month, maybe at the most. I can't remember.
I'd say once or twice a month, depending on what's going on.
Okay, and as president, typically it is the clerk of the board, the chief, because there's some action that's been sent to me via email, and because of my work schedule, or our admin staff, they're having to call me because they need me to acknowledge something. So I typically don't call. I don't show up at fire stations. I really don't have the need to. They're there to work. I feel if I just show up unannounced, I could be taken from training. They're doing training during the day. They're having to clean the station. They have regular duties that they have to do. And me just showing up unannounced is absolutely inappropriate. That is just my personal view about showing up at fire stations. And, John, you're retired from the industry, and I just feel personally it's a little.
I don't care if I ever go to another fire station.
Okay, but I just feel it's a little disruptive as me, even as, maybe a citizen, sometimes they want to take treats or whatever, but just to show up and why have, somebody or whatever with the, I just don't understand that. I don't have any special privileges as a board member, Director Williams, and I think that you think that we might have some special privileges, but we really don't. I have a responsibility as a board member when I receive my emails, my agenda, my communication. I have to review everything. I have to go out and if necessary, do additional, internet or, if there is something needed, I will email. I don't necessarily call staff. I usually will email so they can provide me with just, information, but I don't have any special privileges, that, I think you think that we have special privileges and we really don't just as board members.
Well,
Go ahead.
if I just
Yes.
go ahead and say something. I'm hearing what you're saying. And you're saying that, it sounds like people would rather I didn't do what I feel is our job as board members. And so I'm going to make an offer to you, Sarah. And my offer is this. I won't go to any fire stations. I won't call the fire chief. I'll call you. You will be my contact for the board and for the fire department. And I'll call you if I need something. How's that sound?
Director Williams, I can't make that decision. I'm only one of five.
Yeah, you can. You can.
I
Yeah, I'll
cannot,
be glad to talk to you, Ann.
I cannot make that decision. I'm one
Sure.
of five. Do you understand as a board that we are a member of five? And that even though I'm the president, I'm just representing us and I just manage the meetings. But I do not have any authority over my fellow electeds to make those decisions, to approve something like that, Director Williams. I do not have that.
But it sounds like you're worried or concerned about me going to a fire station.
I feel there's a
Or
disconnect.
talking to members of the staff or whatever, or it seems like the fire chief is, and especially the board and that type of thing, and I don't understand why. I mean, if I have done something so severe that is what is needed, then we need to go to court. Really, you need to take me to court and say, hey, this guy is a threat. He is not good. And that's where I'm having problems. I mean, like John said, hey, I threatened him. I put my hand on his neck there. My God, the newspaper guy saw it and he says, well, didn't look like anything to me, but it sure bothered John.
I had a hand on my neck, and we were not cordial at that time at all. I felt threatened. I felt threatened. I think I was threatened. So
And
that's where that goes.
I'm having problems understanding what is going on.
So if you would have read your censures, you would understand that you threatened the fire chief. That is why we were trying to distance the district from a liability.
There's employment law liability that we want to distance ourselves from. If you are making any employee uncomfortable, we cannot have you be around that employee to the best of our abilities. So we don't have an issue with that. And that's just it doesn't mean that we go to court over it. That's just workplace decorum.
Like I was asking you about the law
I'm gonna finish mine.
at our last
After
meeting. Go ahead.
After your comment,
Go ahead.
after your comment. Director Williams, I want to be able to reinstate you, but I need you to give me your word that you are gonna review the board policies and that you will adhere to the board policies by not disparaging the staff, et cetera, and that you will be a responsible and respectful board member. If you can make that commitment to me, I'm already willing to do it. I just want to hear from you that you're willing to move forward and that you are going to adhere by our board policies and that you are going to be you're going to be respectful for this board to one another.
Okay, let me ask you a question.
So is that yes or no?
Do you
Can you
feel,
answer my question?
I gotta ask you a question first.
I want my answer,
Come on,
from you
please,
first.
please, I gotta ask you this question. Do you feel that I was respectful and the way you would like to have me as a board member for the last several months?
I do, that's why I want to, that's why I'm agreeing
So-
to this, that's why I'm
so-
open.
Based on that, I can say yes. If that's the way you want me to be, yes, I can do that, and I've shown you I can do that.
Okay, and I just want to remind you too that, you know, for a year now, things have been very different because of the pandemic. And staff has had to completely, we've had to redo policies, procedures, we've had to completely change things to do that. And we haven't even met I haven't met with the chief one-on-one in over a year, just to let you know, over a year. So I can't even tell you when my last, everything is via phone.
Thank you for that information, because I was under the impression you guys were still meeting.
No, we cannot, we have not.
But you have had your meetings with the chief over the phone,
I have to have meetings with the chief, yes.
your monthly meetings.
Yes. Mhm. Okay, but we haven't been meeting with staff, I haven't gone to, the only reason I go to admin and I don't go inside is I'll go to admin to sign documents that I will stand outside, as silly as it sounds, and they'll bring me the documents, I sign them, or they're dropped off and I drop them off, but that is to the extent of my visits to there. So I'm gonna go ahead and I wanna loop around one more time. I have an idea how it could look like, but I said that we were gonna loop around and talk about that. Did you have anything else to comment on, Director Williams, before I move it forward to the rest of the board on how, you know, if we're gonna lift and how we're gonna go about that?
Are you asking me?
yes,
Oh, I thought you were
yes.
talking to Mike.
No, I was talking to you, I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm
Director
terribly
Williams.
sorry.
No,
I thought you were
that's
still
okay.
talking to
I was
Mike.
just asking if you wanted to, you know, if you had any more comment, I'll give you another opportunity, but I want to see what the other board members have about how they feel about this and what it might look like.
I don't remember, you know, it's been over a year, well over a year. And all I want to say is the way things have gone for the past, at least half of last year, I don't know this June thing, I didn't know that there was something that came up in June. But it was a lot better. And I think that the entire board was better, with everything being in sync, so to speak, and everybody getting along and so on. And I would like to continue that. That's the way I feel.
All right, thank you. Director Liu.
I agree with Director Krieger, you're making it incredibly difficult, Director Williams. And I've been thinking about, I knew this, you know, we were going to be dealing with this. Again, I thought we were going to deal with it last year. So it's something that I've thought a lot about. And I definitely had some thoughts about where I stood today, but you make it incredibly difficult. You constantly interrupt here tonight again. It's just appalling to me, but you still say you don't understand what happened, why it happened. It's every censure spells out the reasons and the actions. The investigation spells it all out, but you got to read more than one paragraph on one page and not take it out of context. But I agree with some of the other comments. Director Krieger said it. I want to show a little grace. I do want to try and move forward in a way that, again, is in the best interest of this district. And it doesn't necessarily feel great to me, but I think it is in the best interest to consider some changes. So if you're looking for what I'm willing to consider changing, okay. First, the things I'm not willing to consider changing, with regard to what's in the centers, I'm not willing to consider changes to facility access, staff access, or policy including ongoing requests for basic computer or email training. Those I am not willing to consider. I am willing to consider allowing attendance at district events, clarifying we are not limiting or prohibiting training or educational opportunities related to the district, allow travel in full compliance with district policy, particularly related to education and training. And I would encourage and want to have regular meetings with the chief as long as another board member is present, whether that be in person or over phone or however that is. And I'm sensitive to what that means to you, Chief, but I do think it would, again, be in the best interest to start that. But with that caveat that another board member needs to be present. The things I'm not sure about, and so I really want to hear everybody else's committee assignments, liaison assignments. I had some. I felt one way coming into it. Director Williams, you're changing my mind on it. So anyway, that's where I'm at this point.
Okay, and Director DeMonica.
I agree with some of the things Director Luke said, but meetings with the fire chief, I get a little concerned about having that meeting with another board member present. That makes two board members there, and then if you have a third meeting with a different board member, I don't want to violate the Brown Act in any way possible. I like the way it was set up with the fire chief and at least one other person and record the meetings. I think that's appropriate, and I think that would be, if we're going to do that, that would be the way to do that. But I don't think we should have another board member there. Secondly, I'm open to allowing Mr. Williams we put the webinars in the board policy manual, to allow him to do the webinars and the electronic attendance at conferences. Not sure he's convinced me yet that I'm willing to support him attending these in person. I don't know any other way to say it, but that's, so I'm reluctant there, but I would definitely support attendance via webinars or electronically at the 2 webinars we allow, any conferences that are electronically, you can electronically attend. I'm willing to do that. So that's where I am with this.
Okay, all right, Vice President Krieger.
Our meetings for the chief are done via phone call. I think it's, I want to make the chief comfortable in it as well. So I think you should start to have meetings with the chief. What that looks like, I don't know. We can discuss that further. I agree, Director Luth, with everything else that you discussed, the trainings, the seminars, and as to assigning specific committees, I'm going to throw this one out. That's at the will of the president to decide. So
It is, but at this point,
it was part of the censure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Censure number 4.
Yeah.
The anti-Semitism.
Same with liaison. So I think we would have to take that.
So with that, I'd be open to that. When I talked about that over time, that I felt that there was some steps we could take over time, that's what I was directing to. I don't feel that any of us necessarily need to have access to facilities or to staff outside of, I can't in good conscience go down that road right now. But everything else, the meeting with the chief, trainings, the seminars, the travel for trainings or for, one of the association meetings, if he wanted to start to attend the ASB, CSD meetings, I'm okay with that as well. So, more than willing to have a discussion about the committee or liaison assignments. I'm open to it. And I don't know how this works, and maybe I need to ask Jeff this. I'm open to it with conditions that we might pull it away. Yeah. I don't know.
The board would always have the authority to bring it back and reconsider them.
Okay. So that's where I'm at.
Okay,
Can I ask Jeff a question?
yeah. And then just a quick question, because I'd like to do my comment.
Absolutely.
Okay.
It should be quick. Can the board say that I can't go to fire stations and talk to people?
Under these circumstances, I
Legally?
Under these circumstances, I believe that the board can, yes.
Can you write that up on what basis they are allowed to do that?
I could, yes.
Pardon?
I could, yes.
Would that be okay with you guys if we understand that?
Yeah, in the censure.
I'm fine with it.
Because I'm looking at it as a violation of my First Amendment rights, but if you say that they can do that, I'd like to see it.
Can you explain that to me, how that?
I don't understand how that's a violation of First Amendment rights either. I don't understand.
Well, I don't.
I'm not lost in that.
The only thing I want to say is I'm a taxpayer first. I'm a board member second, whatever you want to call it. I have a right to go to the fire station and talk to people. And that's a right. That's something that I can do. And Jeff's saying I can't do that. And I want to see on what basis I cannot do it. In other words, if the fire board can say, no, you cannot do that.
I have a
That's
question
that's
about
all
that.
I want to see.
How do you know the person at the fire station wants to talk to you?
Doesn't matter.
So you
Doesn't
can just
matter.
force yourself on them?
Doesn't matter. That's not what we're trying to do here, John.
Okay.
No, I'm just trying to get clarity,
discuss
because you're
my
asking
rights.
for things, and I just want some clarity
We're
on
trying
what
to
your
discuss my
expectations
rights.
are.
Let's not belabor it.
I'm still just confused over why.
We're elected, and I feel that as an elected official, we're held to higher standards as just being regular residents. You are elected by the public to serve the community, and with that, we don't get any special privileges.
It's simple enough.
I'm gonna say my comments, okay? So I as Director Liz, do not agree that that Director Williams should have access to our facilities, to the staff, or be allowed. We've provided all types of computer training to him, and I feel that now needs to be a responsibility of Director Williams. I do agree that he should be able to attend district events when we have it. Meetings with the fire chief definitely need to be with the board, with another board member. And I can assign a board member to do that, but absolutely, I do not agree that we have a responsibility to protect the board and staff from any potential liabilities. And I feel if we allow Director Williams to have one-on-ones, that we are going to put them in uncomfortable situations, possibly harassing situations, just based on that before, and I don't feel that we're quite there yet. Not yet, okay? I was thinking, as far as a liaison, that I will remove myself from the city of Chino. This is just a suggestion. I'll do some swapping. I will take Director DeMonico, I will move him to the city of Chino Hills, and I will ask Director Liz if he would do the city of Chino with Director Williams. And right now we're calling into them, we're not attending in person. But if there is a time when they are a person that the two of them would attend together, you know, to the meetings, if when they, you know, I know they're already open up and it's limited. That's just something that I say, I'm fine with him attending, like the Association for San Bernardino meetings or any training or webinars. But I feel the sanctions with staff in our facilities, I'm just not comfortable at this time to go there. And I don't know if anybody else now, if we want to look around and talk about that.
I'm opposed to that,
Yeah.
too. I'm on record with that right away.
Okay, so,
What's in the censure regarding facility access, I don't believe that as a citizen, we were prohibiting, and I'm looking at you, Jeff, I'm sorry. As a citizen, to Director Williams' comment, anybody can go to that door and ring on it. Whether or not it's answered, whether or not they want to engage with that person, whether or not they let them into the station is maybe this is the chief, I might be looking at the wrong person. They have the ability to either engage or not engage.
The issue from a legal perspective is when you become elected to the board, it's kind of like when you get appointed or employed by the district, you become, from a legal perspective, a supervisor. And if you're doing things that supervisors are legally not supposed to be doing, potentially harassing, potentially creating a hostile work environment, that creates liability on the part of the district. So to some degree, when you get hired, you, by an agency or an entity, you surrender some of those rights that you would otherwise have as an entity to do whatever the heck you want. Similarly, when you get elected as an elected official, you give up some of those rights and you have to start behaving and conforming as a supervisor.
Okay, good, I appreciate that.
Could I add one thing that may help a little bit as well? Early on in the pandemic, we closed access to all of our fire stations to any visitors, including family members. Our administration building's done the same thing with the exception of the lobby. And we have that, it's very specific where the public is allowed access, and that's to protect our staff from the public and public from our staff if people are potentially sick as well. So we haven't had visitors in the station for probably 8 or 9 months. Is that about correct? And my concern, if Director Williams were to go to a station, really try to separate the role of a citizen from a board member. There's a cordial conversation, hello, how are you? You know, fire engine, whatever it is, versus board member, and that's a very fine line. It would be very difficult to maintain those roles. And unfortunately, our folks, especially when board members show up, want to go out of their way to welcome them and make them feel comfortable, and it would put them in a very challenging situation. And it would be very difficult to maintain that conversation specific to what would be limited to someone with the normal public versus a board member that has far more extensive knowledge and as a former employee of the district, has extensive knowledge about operational issues and needs that we have. So it would be very difficult to keep those conversations at an appropriate level for a citizen versus a board member.
Thank you, Chief. I appreciate you guys spending the time here with me tonight and, trying to resolve this issue. The fact Chief just said, as a former employee, it's got to be, of course, understood that I worked here for 33 years. There was never any kind of problem, with threats, fights. There's nothing on my record in regards to that. And I haven't left the fire department and turned into a violent person, so to speak, or one that's capable of going after somebody or something like that. That's definitely not what I do. I know I do get upset and probably get a little louder and a little more boisterous than I should. But it should be understood and taken into account that, there was 33 wrecks. There were 33 years, and no problems in regards to the situations like you seem to be concerned about. And so I don't understand it, and yet you keep bringing it up that I'm a threat. And I mean, you know, you say, well, you put in the metal detectors and stuff because of me. I mean, when I was a fireman, I wore a knife that was 6 inches long on my belt. A lot of firemen did. And, I mean,
Okay.
that's all.
Director Williams, did you hear what the chief said though, that as a board member, when we present ourselves in front of staff, how they feel they have an obligation? Did you hear what he said, that they may be tied up in something and they may feel a responsibility to us as board members? Did you understand?
I do understand that.
Okay, so that right there, like, to me, I understand that me they see us as board members, we're as supervisors to them, and that they're gonna probably put everything else aside to accommodate us.
And I know that can happen.
Okay, so what would be, I just need to better understand why you feel this desire, why you need to show up to a fire station. It's like, you say you wanna talk, to them. If you still have friends, you can call them and you guys can meet for coffee or maybe have a Zoom call or something. That's showing up at district, while you say, yes, you have a right as a citizen, as a board member, I think you should consider what, that might do. But if you want to talk to someone, you can always call them and invite them for coffee or have a Zoom call or a call like that. You're still able to do that as well. Just something to consider.
Well, give me a minute and I'll tell you a quick story. This is about a situation where there were some guys that were working at the station. And
Is it relevant to our
yes,
discussion?
absolutely, exactly what you're talking about. And so there was one fireman that was out talking to a citizen. And the other guys were all working on the fire truck, on the fire station or whatever. And the guy come up and says, well, what's going on here? He says, that guy's been out there talking to that guy for 15 minutes, and the other guys are all hustling, working their butts off around the fire station, The guy, the fire chief, come out and he says, that's the guy that pays the bills. The guy that the fireman is talking to. He says, he's the guy that pays the bills. So we give him respect and the dignity that he's entitled to. We don't say, we don't have time for you. And that's the way I think of myself as a member of this community, as a member of this fire board, is I'm the guy that pays the bills. And the firemen are working for me. I was a fireman for 33 years. That's the way I thought of myself. I'm working for these people. I'm here to serve them. And that's the way we have to think of ourselves as firefighters. We're not above them. We're not better than them. We're their servant. So what you're saying isn't correct. They are the ones that we want to talk to. And if I come there as a director or as a citizen or anything else, they should be taught that being respectful and showing an interest in what is going on to the citizen is important.
Can we move on?
Yeah,
This is-
because
we may have to adapt
we're
something
just
to our
falling
rules.
into that theory. So, okay. So I went through, I made my remark, Director Lee, if you want to start.
you looking for a motion?
Well, we want to talk about how we
Okay.
want reinstatement
Okay.
to look,
Okay.
and if we're in agreed,
Good.
you know,
Okay.
both to do that.
Okay, well, I've commented to what I'm not willing to consider changing. And to things I am willing to consider. May I ask a question?
Yep.
If we agree, I'm not worried about committee assignments, but liaison assignments, can we put restrictions on that?
What types of things are you thinking about?
I'm sorry?
What types of things are you thinking about?
Speaking. While wearing district attire or otherwise representing himself in front of whatever liaison assignment we may or may not give him as a representative of this district. Certainly as a citizen, not in attire, I believe you could have the opportunity, but can we restrict that?
I think you could restrict him in, you could restrict a board member in terms of whether they're wearing district attire or district badge or pin or something. I probably wouldn't recommend that you restrict him from speaking altogether. If you're going to make him a liaison, he should be able to speak. Yeah. If, of course, he says something that, is worthy of censure in the future and future restrictions, then the board could always reconsider that.
Okay.
Can I just, our board policy says that while we're representing the district, so if we've allowed, if we are attending, we're wearing district clothing, we are a representative of the board. And it's very clear that our comments in that must keep away from personal. It needs, it's at that point.
Right.
Okay.
And
I know
if we're going to comment, they have to be approved by the board. Is that, I mean,
we can comment, but we have to remember that we are a representative of the board of the district at that time. Our comments cannot be that one of our personal nature. Did I say that?
Correct, and it's usually encouraged if you are going to say something in your own personal capacity that you make that clear before you say it.
Okay.
That I'm speaking here as a member of the public, not as a member of the district board.
Okay. All right, well, so I came in here this evening thinking I would be okay with committee assignments and liaison assignments. I would ask President Ramos Evinger maybe to, if this is where we end up going, that we, after this meeting, you contact the board members and see what we may be interested in keeping and switching up before you maybe make a decision on that, but it's certainly your prerogative. But anyway, that's where I'm at.
Okay, I understand what you're saying, like how we do.
Well, there's certain, like I have certain signs that conflict on a lot of days, so maybe what moves.
Okay.
Don't move this, because there's always this conflict on these days.
Okay, that's fair. That's absolutely fair. So can you confirm what you're willing, just once again, so everyone understands, and what you're not?
I'm not willing to change what's in the censures regarding facility access, staff access, or policy changes regarding requests for basic computer or email training. I am willing to consider allowing attendance at district events, training or educational opportunities related to district travel, if in full compliance with district policy, of course. Meetings with the chief, sorry, Jeff. So would that be is there a potential problem if it is another board member that's in on that meeting with the chief?
I understand what Board Member Nabonico is saying. I think the board members would just need to be careful not to talk to a third board member about the same subject that they were talking to the chief about. It's an issue. I wouldn't consider it a complete roadblock, though, to opening up those lines of communication. They just need to be careful.
Okay, and I respect that concern. I do. I just think a fellow board member would be appropriate. third party, if you will, to sit in on that. And I'm willing to consider committee and liaison assignments.
Give me 1 second.
No, go ahead.
Okay, all right, so, Director DeMonica.
I'm not willing to make that big of a jump. I think that's something we can do incrementally. We can do something now, and then we can make a decision later on about doing other things. I'm absolutely opposed to, the committee and liaison assignments. I oppose 100%. I am open to, Mr. Williams attending webinars, electronic events, those types of things. I think those would be good. I think that that's good for all of us, and everybody can learn something. So I think those are very appropriate, and we should do those types of things. With the meetings with the chief, you know, that's how uncomfortable are we make the chief when you have to have those meetings with everything that's gone on? I mean, I have a lot of concern about that too, and I don't want the chief to answer this at all. But I have concern about the position we're putting the chief in. So if you want to have another board member there, I would suggest that you make that a liaison assignment. You have the same board member there all the time. That way we can limit my concerns and move forward that way. So if you do the same board member, and you may want to consider the first meetings, phone meetings. I don't know. We're all having phone
We're
meetings.
still doing phone meetings
Yeah,
until further notice,
yeah,
and we might as
but,
well just keep that up.
But I would be willing to move forward with the educational aspects and the training aspects. Other than that, I would go no further than that today.
Okay.
And
So,
also,
facility,
access to
staff.
admin, I'm not in favor of changing anything that's in any of the 4 censures. I will not vote for anything to change those censures. They are what they are, they're done, we move on.
You've got those, I'd like to get a copy of them, please.
Okay.
So,
So,
yeah, I printed them off, you can have them.
All right, you can get them
Or
out.
go pass them down.
okay, we will, yeah.
So I'm okay with everything Harvey said. John, I totally understand what you're saying. I respect it. I will offer to be the second person in the room for the chief meetings. Or the second person on the phone call. And I'm also willing to give up the women's prison assignment if you need another committee assignment for it. So I concur with Harvey. I totally understand what you're saying, John. And I'm willing to be the board member that does that.
Okay, so I just want to confirm, you're willing to allow him to attend district events and training?
Yes.
Okay. What about travel? That was not something at this point?
Yes, Harvey mentioned it. I'm okay with that as well. If you know, if there's a special, you know, I mean, who knows if we're going to be doing that anytime in the next year to 2 years, but
yeah.
I'm going to say yes for that for right now.
Okay.
I just want to make sure, Jeff, you said that at any time we can come back and actually relinquish, pull the stuff away.
Absolutely. If a board member engages in conduct that is worthy of censure and these same consequences, then the board can do that at any time.
Would it have to be a new censure, or would it just be a?
I would probably recommend that you have it accompany a censure, yes.
All right, well, that's my.
Okay. And so you're like, if we agree, a community liaison, like one of the councils, you agree to that at this point, or you want to?
I said the women's prison.
So, okay, so, I agree about allowing Director Williams definitely to do the training. I think that would be great for him, you know, district events and training. We don't have any district events going on, but, you know, should there be, we're not traveling, so I'm not sure at this point about, you know, kind of if that, because we're not going to be traveling. Chief meetings, I would like him to start participating in that with an assigned board member. And I appreciate that you have offered to do that. It needs, you know, maybe prior to these meetings starting, you can orient Director Williams on expectations and how that normally, you know, runs and why, what the purpose is, because I want to make sure with that meeting that he understands why we have that meeting. So if you know, if that's something we can, facilities and staff just alone, I'm absolutely not there at all. I'm not willing at this point to you know, move that forward. So we can modify partially right now. We can bring it back for further discussion next month. We can, you know, replace this on the agenda because I heard that there's board members that want to provide feedback as to what committee assignments that they'd be willing, they want to take a look at it, they'd be willing to maybe relinquish. I know you've already provided one of them, you know, one of the, which we can start with that one at this point, if you guys want to agree on that. I need someone, if they can please make a motion, and then, like, if we can.
Okay, so let me try to clarify this. I want to make sure Harvey corrects me, so I'm going to use your wording. I move that we reinstate Director Williams for meeting with the chief with another board member present for any training and seminars, and any travel for the board that has to do with training, seminars, or legislative outreach. And that's it for tonight. That's my motion. The motion is for meeting with the chief with another board member, any training or seminars, and travel.
District events.
And district events, if that's one that needs to be on there, attending district events. And that's it. And then, that's my motion. And then next month, I'd like to come back and discuss.
Instead of next month, can we say in the future so that we can evaluate for a period of time? I'm just asking.
You're fine with considering a committee assignment?
I'm okay with giving up at least one of my committees.
And were you, Harvey, I mean, if somebody wants to, you know, modify, I guess that's just his motion.
For me, once again, those committee assignments are up to the president to amend.
They were taken away by board action.
Right. Okay. So with that, I'd like that to come back next month to discuss committee assignments next month. I'd like to stew on that for a minute or so.
So committee and liaison, you want to?
Yeah, I guess liaison is the main thing that I'm talking about. The committee meetings are finance and planning and whatever else.
So specifically liaison.
Specifically liaison meetings next month.
So can I just clarify? So would the intent be for recommendations for, if we're going to consider liaison assignments, that we would also then say these are the liaison assignments we are considering?
Yes.
Or just?
Well, I think that's something that you would give to the president.
Oh, right.
President would decide.
These are the ones, yes.
Yeah,
Right.
I would need
So we have the motion
Yes.
separately.
No, I just want to clarify on the liaison, so we're not going to include in this motion what we're going to consider at the next meeting.
At the next meeting, and then we can all individually, send Sarah as being the president, our individual thoughts regarding whatever liaison assignments that we might have, that she can jockey around.
Okay. And I'm gonna ask, I just want to make sure because they're transcribing for us. I'm so sorry, Mike, that we need to make sure it's clear for the minute, and so they understand what you're recommending.
I have no idea what I just said, so. I'm sorry, I just want to clarify.
Yes.
Since the board, to John's point, took it away, in order for president to bring back liaison assignments, we need, as a board, either say yay or nay if we're going to allow
And
that.
then,
We'll talk
she
about
would
that
have to.
next month.
So we can work it that way.
Can I refer that to the lawyer?
Yeah.
In the board policy, it says that the president gives the liaison.
Yes.
Right.
Only the president.
Yes.
It doesn't mention anything about approval or anything from the, board members.
Because
So,
it was a condition of the
The censure.
censure, so we're just trying to back out.
the liaisons were a condition?
Yeah,
condition?
we're just trying to see how do we back that out.
Okay.
So what we're proposing is next month, we bring back the liaison. They're gonna provide feedback as to what they, be willing to give up. We'll discuss next month adding in liaisons, if that's what the board agrees to. I'm not sure what, and then there'll be items that we can discuss.
That's fine. Yeah, I didn't.
Okay. So, district events, training, your recommendation, regular travel, and chief meetings.
Yes.
Board travel.
And committee assignments or?
No,
Okay,
all that,
okay, I just want to
yeah.
make sure.
Mhm. So, and that was your recommendation, okay? Just to confirm, to allow Director Williams to attend district events, training that's relevant to our, and within board policy, webinar trainings, travel if there's any, which we don't have anything scheduled this time. Chief meetings that include a board member, and Director Krieger has agreed to be that board member, so I'm gonna take that as part of the motion. Okay, and does that sound?
I think that should be sufficient.
Okay, all right. So I have a motion by Director Krieger. I guess I can do, or does anybody else have any input before I do the roll call? Oh, yeah, but before, yes. So, okay, so that's the motion, and then do I have and then we'll bring it back next month to talk about the liaison meetings and discuss what that might look like, et cetera. So I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Director Lou, second.
Okay, all right, so at this time, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna do a roll call vote. And, clerk of the board, are there any concerns or anything that you may, or something that I missed prior to us going to the vote?
You mean as far as requesting comments?
No, oh, I have to request comment, thank you. That reminder, thank you. So, yeah, so,
We did that. We already did it.
no, but, I did not, did I already ask for any, there was no public comment?
There were no
Okay,
public comments.
okay, all right. Okay, so we're good,
So we have a first and a second.
first and a second, and I'm gonna do a roll call vote, okay? Director Williams,
Yes.
Director Liz,
Yes.
Director DeMonico,
Reluctantly, yes.
Vice President Krieger,
Yes.
and myself, yes. And the motion passes 5-1, and do I need to restate what that is at this time, or?
No.
Okay, all right. Okay, all right, thank you so much, everybody, thank you. Fire Chief's comments, Fire Chief Shackelford.
Good evening, President Ramos-Evinger, Vice President Krieger, and board members. Once again, just a few comments for you this evening. Yesterday, the fire district partnered with the Red Cross and hosted a blood drive here at the training center, and that was from 10 to 4, and I did see Director Krieger there. helping the community and donating some blood. So thank you for participating in
My
that.
COVID antibody-rich blood, yes.
Under organizational items of interest, I'd like to ask our HR Director, Christy Couture, to provide a recruitment update.
Thank you, and good evening. I'm excited to announce that 10 new firefighter paramedics will begin their careers with our district next Monday, March 15th. And an interesting fact, 9 out of the 10 are laterals from other departments. Also, in previous meetings, I'd mentioned that we were conducting internal promotional testing for the fire captain rank. And I'm happy to share that 3 of our engineers have been promoted to captain. And because of that, 3 firefighter paramedics were promoted to engineers. These changes will take effect on March 27th. That's the end of my report. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Christy. During the Section 115 Trust Investment Committee quarterly meeting in February, the committee voted to change the target asset allocation for the investment portfolio from a 50-50 equities and bonds to a 60-40 mix weighing more heavily toward equities. For the 2020 calendar year, the portfolio earned a weighted average of 14% annualized return. Under upcoming events, the ASB CSD virtual meeting will take place on March 15th at 6 p.m. A Finance Committee meeting is scheduled for March 22nd at 8 a.m. And finally, as the board and our staff's aware, sadly, retired engineer Ray Santoyo passed away on Monday, and I'd like to express our condolences to Ray's family. And that concludes my comments for this evening.
Thank you, Chief. Okay, now it's the time for board comments. Please provide comments when I call your name. Director Wynn Williams.
Thank you. I felt very sorrowful about Ray Santoyo passing away. He worked with me quite a bit toward the end of my career before I went out, and Ray was a really good guy. I want that known that he was a neat guy, and can't tell you some of the stuff that he did that was just, he was just one of those guys, I mean, and I liked him, and really sorry that he passed away. I appreciate the time that the board spent going over this problem, situation, and I would like to remind our attorney, please give me that information about me not being able to speak with the firemen and so on. I'd like to see where that came from. And other than that, thank you guys. That's all.
Okay, Director Lee.
Thank you. Attended a couple policy review meetings, San Bernardino Airport Commission, a couple Chino Hills Council meetings, and Chino Council meetings. And I think it's important that we pay attention to those meetings because all cities are going through this, but obviously Chino Hills and Chino, as well as the housing element updates regarding the arena numbers, and those may or may not have some impact to this district, so it's important to be paying attention to those. We had our board workshop. I want to congratulate Ryan T. I'm going to try and say his last name. That is awesome. The enthusiasm that he shows all the time, just what a wonderful upbeat attitude. What a very nice to see him receive that award. Well done, well deserved. Congratulations to our captains moving up, Travis, Arnold, and Travis again, and then our engineers moving up, Adam, Matt, and Ethan, and then our 10 new firefighter paramedics. That's just awesome to hear that. I know it's been a process and it's been difficult, but that is great news. Sorry to hear about Ray. I didn't really know Ray. I met him once, but sorry to hear that. My condolences to his family. And, you know, it was nice to hear from someone from the school district. That was really that was very nice, so I appreciate that. And that's the end of my comments. Thank you.
Thank you. Director DeMonico.
Yes, I attended the Chino Council meeting and the San Bernardino County Board of Supervisors meeting. Also had a CSDA Legislative Committee meeting, which was just the other day, a kickoff of the year. A whole lot of legislations proposed, and we're tracking a lot of it. We're going to see where it goes, and we're going to figure out what's important and what's more important than others. They're all important. And hopefully most of them won't get signed, but that's kind of the nature of the beast up there in Sacramento. Congratulations to Ryan on his recognition. If you ever had the opportunity to see one of Ryan's presentations, it's amazing. And highly recommend it if you get the opportunity to do that, especially on a cardiac care program. Well, either one, he trauma as well, but he does an exceptional job. Donate Life, glad to see we're partnering with Donate Life. I have my little sticker on my driver's license. Urge everybody to be a donor. Whether they want any of my body parts or not, I don't know, probably not, but I'm willing. So, urge people to really consider being a donor. Congratulations to our newly promoted captains and engineers, and really glad to see we got 10 firefighter paramedics coming on board. I don't know how many, that put us close, to get us close.
We will have one vacancy.
And
that's the first time in a long time that it's
haven't heard that.
that low of a number.
Yeah,
so
in a long
we're
time.
very pleased with that.
Great job. And my condolences to Ray. I've had the opportunity to meet him a number of times. He was a really, really good, nice guy. My condolences to the family.
All right, I met with the chief, Harvey Wright. Don Bridge spoke tonight and stole my thunder for my report there about the schools reopening and sports starting back up. Chino Hills meeting, the only thing of significance out of that was the hour-long discussion about the McCoy Equestrian Center that's now going to be owned by the city instead of the city running it for the trust. No substantial change, but there was a long discussion on it. Had a general meeting with Sarah. Congrats to Ryan Porhosasian. Did I say that right?
No.
Gosh, so close. So I apologize, Ryan, but you know how I am with that. For the Meritorious Service Award, that's fantastic. It's really great. Congratulations to those that were promoted. That just shows the great movement and signs of things to come with this department. And prayers to Ray and his family. Quick thing about Donate Life, my son was filling out the DMV paperwork last week. A little frightening, but he said, it came to that check mark box, and he said, oh, is that if I die, that, that my body parts can go to help save somebody? I said, yes. He said, yeah, go ahead and click on that. So it was good to see that, even he's thinking about that. So that's it for me tonight.
Okay, that's awesome. Thank you. I attended a couple Chino City Council meeting, board policy ad hoc committee meetings. Let me see here. Consultant board workshop, agenda review meetings as well. I want to congratulations to our 10 new firefighters who are joining and all of our promotions. I love to hear about the promotions. It's always good stuff. Ryan, as always, you are such an overachiever, and we are so proud and happy and grateful to have you representing our district. And I appreciate the fact that you're so humble and always say that it's a team, because truly as a team we're able to push and to do everything individuals. We need good, strong people behind us to help with that. Director Williams, I'm glad we had this conversation today, but I really want you to go home, and this is just my personal comment, take the time to review the board policies. And I'd like you to just become humble about being a board member, because just because we're elected by by our constituents, that we don't have any special powers or anything. We really should feel that we are at the bottom and everyone is above us. So just to consider that. But I'm glad we had that conversation, and I truly, truly hope and pray that we are going to be able to move forward and that we don't have to go back this. So I just really, I'm asking you to go back, read, and just to really reflect and consider and understand that it's a privilege for us to serve our community. It is a true privilege.
Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you. And I need to announce, I'd like to announce the following appointed ad hoc committee assignments. On 225, I assigned the committee Sphere of Influence in County Annexation of Chino. And this assignment is to attend the Chino Sphere of Influence meetings pertaining to county-owned land, annexations, and impacts on the fire district service area. And the committee members would be myself and Director Lou. I also, because this is so important to us right now with all the building things going on, it has a true impact to the district. I also assigned a Chino Hills Housing and Building, and there is a meeting on the 16th for this one, and that assignment is to attend Chino Hills Housing and Building meetings pertaining to impacts on the fire district service areas. And Director DeMonico and Vice President Krieger, I've assigned you both to that, and Vice President Krieger will be, he will be the chair of that one, and then Director Lou, you're the chair of the Chino, just so you guys know who the chair is. I would also like to announce that as discussed at the February regular board meeting, the following support letters were sent in on behalf of the fire district. Legislative support letter, Assembly Bill 361, Rebus, support as introduced, support local agencies to safely meet remotely during an emergency to change the law included in AB 361, where what we have allowed local agencies to continue to operate while also complying with important public health directives issued by officials during the COVID-19 pandemic. By ensuring these provisions in statutes, the bill ensures that local agencies will continue to be able to remain safe in future emergencies that threaten public health. Legislative support letter HR 535 and S91, the Special Districts Provide Essential Services Act, supporting the vital services that communities rely upon and continue unhindered, while also providing greater certainty for those governments to retain their essential workers. Specifically, the legislation will establish a federal definition of special districts, allow special districts access to future coronavirus relief fund allocations, and designate special districts as eligible users of the Federal Reserve Board's municipality liquidity facility. And a happy St. Patrick's Day to everyone that's coming up. Have a safe and happy day. And our meeting tonight will be adjourned in memory of Fire District Engineer Ray Santoyo, who passed away earlier this week. Ray began his career as a firefighter in 1985. He served as a member of the USAR team, a shift fire investigator, and was a proud member of the Honor Guard. Ray retired from the fire district in 2017, and I also had the pleasure of knowing him, and he was an amazing person. Ray leaves behind his wife, Sally, and their 4 adult children. Please keep Sally and the entire family in your prayers during this difficult time. The meeting will be adjourned to the regular meeting of the Board of Directors of the Chino Valley Independent Fire District to be held Wednesday, April 14th, 2021. And we're adjourned.